finishing this round here, I just want to welcome everybody to the Loudon County Republican headquarters. If this is not your first time, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome to Loudon County. I always affectionately and very vehemently say, Loudon County, we still love God, guns, and unborn babies, and that's how we're going to keep it.
Yeah!
A few months ago, I was driving back from Memphis, had a Association of County Mayors meeting. I got a phone call from, it showed up on my ID there, and it said Manny Sethi. And I said, you know, I kind of know who he is, but I want to have a conversation. I think we talked for around 30 minutes or so, and I hands-free, so I think I was on the phone. And got to know a little bit more about the man, and not just the politics side. And I learned pretty quick, I had conversations since then. This is a man who wants to do what's best for Tennessee and for the United States. We've got enough rhinos in Washington now. It's time to get back to our core beliefs. I think that Dr. Manny is someone who can represent our great state and bring those core beliefs and take those to Washington. And just an outstanding gentleman. We are, of course, we're a true red state. But don't think for a minute that we don't slowly slide towards the left, because it happens every day. It's important we maintain, we hold. We are less than 30 hours away from the polls closing. I urge you to reach out and contact your friends, get out and exercise that right to vote. We have one of the highest percentages in the state as far as Loudon County goes, and so it's important we get out, especially as Republicans. We have to get out, make our voice heard, and keep our state ready. And so I think that looking forward, I think we'll be ready to celebrate in about 30 hours. I think everybody will have some smiles on, at least most of this room anyway. And I'm looking forward to that. So, Mark, I just can't thank you enough for coming to Loudon County again. You know, sometimes our smaller counties kind of get neglected on these trails. This is, of course, at least our second trip here, and we certainly appreciate that and appreciate what you're trying to do. And I look forward to hopefully working with you in Washington some as well. At this time, before I introduce Dr. Manny, I do want to introduce Zach Wong. Thank you.
You may not know me, but I had the privilege of representing the 3rd Congressional District in Congress for 16 years to the west of here. It's been a real privilege for my family and I to travel with and get to know and come to love the entire Sethi family. And as I introduced me, I want to talk about 3 things today, but I also want to give you a little bit of an update from the campaign. Everybody wants to know, you know, really where is it? And it's really, really, really close. I mean, actually, I just told your team to let you go home tomorrow and rest for 3 or 4 hours and take a shower and shave again. I've done this. Shave, get really fresh, because it could be midnight tomorrow night before we actually know who won. It's that close. It's that close. But the trends all favor Dr. Sethi. And right here in the last 24 hours, you know, it just came out overnight, New York Times, Mr. Haggerty took a big contribution from Mitt Romney and didn't report it in violation of federal election law. So that's the story. You don't want those stories going into election day. You'd rather your opponent have those stories going into election day. So he's got to sleep with that, and he's got to call with the president tonight. So I'm sure that'll come up on the call that, yes, in fact, in this race, he took that check and he didn't report it, and then at the very last minute it comes out. So it looks good, but we've got to get every single person to the polls. These elections have a way of separating the wheat from the chaff. Elections do. Politics stinks these days. Young people know it. It's not supposed to be like this. Not supposed to be dirty and rotten and nasty. But politics is the only vehicle to get to public service. And public service is a noble calling in the United States of America. It is critical to our very existence that honorable people will step up to serve in leadership of this great nation. And so that's where we are. We're in the middle of politics, as ugly as it is, as uncomfortable as it is. And it's a series of choices. And tomorrow the choices are real clear in this race. You literally have a new generation conservative outsider, Dr. Manny Sethi, versus an old establishment insider. And I don't mean old, I'm about the same age. But I've been there and I've done that. I'm talking about a 42-year-old, brilliant trauma surgeon leaves his profession to enter public service with complete honorable intentions. He hasn't been about the business for 20 years of trying to figure out how to maneuver himself in politics and cut deals with people and give money to people and hire the senator's son and all the things that we've seen to be able to become a senator. He just wants to help. He just wants to help. This is a real contrast between politics and policy, because conservatives need to tout our policies and show these young people why our values and our beliefs and our policies are going to save the country, not the mob, not the liberals, not the socialists, the Marxists, but ours. Policies matter. One campaign is all politics. Negative campaigning, and I'm endorsed by Donald Trump. That's all we've seen. This guy talks about repealing and replacing Obamacare, fixing our illegal immigration problem, getting our arms around our debt and having fiscal policies that we need. He's a problem solver, a solutions guy. Our policies matter. And then finally, this notion of public service is extremely, extremely important. To me, Dr. Manny Sethi is a breath of fresh air in the middle of the swamp. A guy who honestly comes at this just for the first time, right out of his brilliant career, willing to sacrifice for the good of our state, and he could transform the conservative movement. If he's the face and the voice and the intellect of the conservative movement, we're going to grow, we're going to win, we're going to save the country. If we just have more of the same old swampy creatures in Washington, expect it to only get worse. So Tennessee, let's come together tomorrow. Let's come together tomorrow and choose our nominee. Don't let Washington choose our nominee. Choose our nominee for the United States Senate. And he's here in Lenore City, Dr. Manny Sethi. Thank you. Thank you so much. Lenore City.
And I love being back here. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much. Sheriff, thank you. Can you raise your hand if you're a law enforcement in this room? Can we give our law enforcement a round of applause? If you're in the military in any branch, you just raise your hand for a second. Just give them all a hand. Well, folks, we're down to 30 hours. And I wouldn't want to end this any other place but East Tennessee.
Amen.
East Tennessee. You can't win a U.S. Senate race without winning East Tennessee. And that's why I've been to Loudon County, Lenore City. I've been here multiple times over the last year. But over the last 9 years with our nonprofit Healthy Tennessee, we've been taking care of patients all across East Tennessee. And so I'm really grateful. 30 hours left. Us against the establishment. Now, folks, they never thought this moment would come. They never, in their wildest dreams, were like, this trauma surgeon guy, child of these two immigrants who grew up in rural Tennessee, how is this guy going to take on this other guy with Mitt Romney's National Finance Network and the Washington cartel behind him? How's he going to do that? And you know what that answer is? It's you. It's you. All of you. And this movement across Tennessee that we've created over the last year of people who are hungry for change. They're sick and tired of these Washington insiders doing one thing, saying the other. Congressman told you about what you heard today from this newspaper. You know, just not reporting these donations. It's just people are fed up with this. Look, we have to repeal and replace Obamacare. We need a new path. We got to take on the communist Chinese government. We need to take on this mob. Are y'all sick and tired of this mob, this burning and rioting and looting in the streets?
Yes.
Have you had enough?
Yes.
Yes.
We need to stand up to these folks in the U.S. Senate. Now look, one thing we've been talking a lot about recently is the pandemic. And, you know, I just think our pathway through this thing is straight through it. We can't shut down our economy. We can't shut America down again. We can't shut our schools down again. Y'all want your kids to go back to school? Yes. I think it's so important. And right now, we can't back down. But you know, folks, my story, as you know, many of you, look, my parents, When they were little kids, they lost everything they had. Their homes were burned to the ground. Sectarian violence, Islamic radicals burned their homes. They grew up in North India with nothing. Pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps to become doctors. Wanted a better way of life. So went to the U.S. Embassy, stood in line, waited their turn, came to this country legally. I was born and raised here, grew up in rural Tennessee. And my whole life, I've sought to make a difference, to do things bigger than myself. You know, I believe the Lord calls each of us to make a difference in the lives of others. And that's why I became a trauma surgeon. That's why I created Healthy Tennessee. And that's why I'm running for the United States Senate. Now, you know, folks, you've got a choice to make in these coming hours. I need you to pick up the phone today and call 10 people that you can. Get them to the polls. Tell them about our conservative movement. Tell them that this election matters. And this is us against this swamp. Look, they're trying to force feed you this candidate. Now, we can't let that happen in Tennessee. We just can't. Now, you know, I would just say in these last 3 weeks, just look at the character of each of the candidates. Now, on the one hand, you've got someone who's been throwing mud and slinging mud and telling you all these mistruths about me. I mean, let me just ask you this. Have you ever met a doctor that likes Obamacare? Like, ever? This is what my wife said. My wife said, she said, sweetie, don't worry about this attack because everybody's going to say you're a doctor. And they've never met a doctor who likes Obamacare. I mean, some of these attacks are all baseless. But they're trying to get you to focus on something else. They don't want you to focus on the issues that matter right now. They want to take your attention off this. So in the next 30 hours, I want you to think about this. And I need your help. We are so close. We are so close to pulling off the biggest upset in Tennessee political history, of taking on this Washington mafia, of taking on this cartel, and telling them, no, no, you can't come in here from D.C. and decide who our next senator is. You know who will decide? We'll decide. So I need your help. I need your vote, Lenore City. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to hang out and take questions. God bless you all. This has been such an incredible journey. I am so thankful from the bottom of my heart. And we're on to victory in 30 hours. Thank you so much.